Pleased to see this group of amendments, excellent amendments, and they've been so well explained and motivated. I don't need to add very much more. I wanted, though, to support these amendments for a couple of reasons, which is that in my dealings with a lot of different groups of people who represent convenience stores, or in other words, shopkeepers, and who I've spoken to, they've made exactly that point, which is they don't feel that they've been consulted with at all, because it's always, as it were, ironically, the quotes have come from the British Retail Consortium. I've got nothing against the British Retail Consortium. They've actually said some interesting things on this bill. But they just feel that there's very specific issues that are not being picked up, particularly around convenience stores, which are, by the way, often a community asset. They're part of the community. And I know that the government understands this, because they're actually bringing in, I actually don't know if it's necessary, but they're bringing in a new law that's protecting retail workers from assault. As I pointed out in that particular bill, I would hope that we already did have a law that protected retail workers from assault. But anyway, double whammy if you've got two. But it does indicate that the government really cares about retail workers, because part of the motivation for that was that there's an increase in assaults and violence. And yet when I've talked to people from those different organisations that have contacted me because of my second reading speech, actually, is the reason I'm in contact with them, because I made sort of similar points. They pointed out that one of the things they're most worried about is the age verification that will come with the generational smoking ban. They're worried about the economic hit that's going to come from all sorts of regulations that come in with this bill. It's one of their big fears. And I think when we talk about cost-benefit analysis and we really weigh up what matters, we keep saying health, public health. And let me tell you, if you're running a small convenience store, then a different thing can affect your health, which is worrying you're going to go under because of new laws and new changes. So I think consultation with the wider group is very important. And I just also wanted to back up the point about manufacturers, it being a bit peculiar, because we have constantly heard everything's big tobacco. And I know that that's an easy way to just close down a debate. I don't actually think it would be wrong to talk to those manufacturers, but there are lots of manufacturers involved in lots of different products that are affected by this bill that we can't just write off as big tobacco. So I think just having that nuance is something I hope the government and the minister will listen to. But the most important amendment of all is Amendment 150, because it stresses that this is not just to be consultation as a box-ticking sense, because it adds and inserts the words "and takes into consideration the views of." Those words should be something that the noble lady, the minister, will welcome, because consultation must be properly listening. Take into consideration the views of the people you're consulting, not have a box-ticking exercise. So I would like a broader range of organisations to be consulted, and when they are consulted, that the minister and the government listens.
My Lords, as I understand it, following the royal assent of this bill, there will be more consultations on many of the regulations the government plans to bring forward. And the call for evidence published on the 8th of October is already seeking evidence on some of the more technical aspects of the bill. I would point out to the movers of these amendments